happening? Virtuous Deviant. Trying to drop some knowledge this morning. Gonna start cooking something to eat real quick. But I just wanted to get on here and kind of talk about, fear. In my opinion, people are always scared of the unknown. And that's why they have so many unknowns. We also have the element of, community persecution. So that's a real thing, and I've lived with it. I've lived with it with my wife, and over the years, especially the last 10 years, I've encouraged her to be more forthcoming, free, forget the past and all the rules that she was given, because I just seen it holding her back. I think it held her back professionally. I think it held her back spiritually. So always, especially being a female, so I've always tried to encourage her to be the most she could be, even if it's to my own detriment, right? If she gets so, head over heels and encouraged and strong, and she leaves me, then maybe that was my purpose, and I encourage, all women. But the thing about my wife is that she's always, no matter what she's been through or she went through before me, I could see her inner glow still. It didn't come out. She wasn't, when I first met her, she wasn't all, she wasn't all hostile and had all this bad energy and bad karma from past relationships. And I think a lot of times people get caught up in that. Respectfully, I've seen more women come out and do that and have to be over the top, and that's really not necessary. If she'd have been like that, I wouldn't have even dated her or married her, because you don't need to be that. Now, if your energy is just normally hyped or whatever, and it's a difference, right? It's a difference if you're just an energetic person and you hype, but there's a little tinge of difference between I've been hurt, pain, all people, all men, all women, or this or that type of mentality. So, that's what I've been thinking about that. I wanted to just talk about that. Because there's a lot of men talking about, talking about how women are this and women are that, and they need to just follow me, and I find so many people, many men rather, really caught up in that kind of mentality. Like, you born in the 70s, especially the 80s or 90s, and you walking around with all these, these old traditions about how women are to follow men and how they are to just blindly, follow you. If I would say, it's kind of ridiculous. I mean, I know there's roles. I'm still kind of the traditional and in the role play. I mean, I look at myself as a definitely a man of leadership, but I've never had to force anybody to follow me. And the thing is, if they didn't want to follow me or follow my lead in some respects, then I just didn't date them. I just said it wasn't going to work out, you know. Yeah, this is my second marriage, so I know what that feels like to be, you know, engaged in battle over stuff. Right now, I can't even remember what all the drama was about. Like I said, I feel like I'm still old school to a certain extent, but I understand levels of life, of the generational differences. I'm not going to be able to see things like my 21-year-old son sees them, because he grew up in a different time. He grew up in a different social economic class, so he's not going to see the same things that I saw. You know, even though I feel like when I grew up in the hood, I had both my mom and my dad. Both of them worked. My dad was very good with his hands, cars, cars, small engines, televisions, the old school televisions with the tubes, air conditioning system, refrigeration system, welding. At one point, we used to make grills out of 50-gallon drums. I mean, a lot of stuff I learned as a kid. So I had wealth, a wealth of information. I've always worked on my own cars. I've always done most of my electrical in my home. I've always done plumbing in my home. I've always done a whole bunch of stuff. So when my wife got a man and me, she really got a man, like in the sense of leadership and taking care of problems. I'm a problem solver. That's why I work in IT. But anyway, I've always encouraged women to be who they are. No inhibitions, no worried about grandma, mama, other people that you know to interfere with your personal life and where you want to be. Now, with some of that comes, what I call a status quo of living, right? What people expect from you, how they expect you to behave and act, and so on and so forth. I've followed as much as possible, but I've always been on the fringes of doing what the hell I wanted to do. So, but I've always been independent. Like I said, I was taught I can do all these things, plus I'm pretty smart as well. So I don't have to really, I'm more independent. And that's even been some of my problem in the workplace, right? But the good thing about what I work now, it's a lot of us and we can ping off each other. So I've had to grow into allowing others to help as well. But I've always encouraged women to be independent in the sense of being free to think. Be free to think and have your own expression. Be free to, you don't have to eat what I eat. Just because I want to go to Popeyes, you don't have to go. Just because I want to do this, you can suggest something different. Now, I've always feel my wife had some issues with that because she just kind of let me lead in our marriage. And and I'm like, what do you want to do sometimes? I want to know what you want to do. Everything I want to do isn't what we should be doing all the time, because I forget, or I don't know, she might have some other ideas is what I'm trying to say. So yeah, so that's the important thing, I feel, in any relationship. You gotta allow personal growth. You can't be afraid to have that personal growth. Can't be afraid to allow someone to have personal growth, especially women. You know, so many men, are so afraid of women having personal growth because they're gonna leave them. I've never been afraid of somebody leaving me. I'm doing what I do. If they want more, then they always wanted more, and that's their right. How can I stop them? You know, I just look at everything that happened. Everything that happened is price of doing business, as a friend says. So price of doing business is sometimes you lose, sometimes things change. I don't really believe in monogamy anyway, me personally, because all the forces that are upon you, especially, I say especially as men, because we are always seen as trying to, have more than one woman anyway, when that's not necessarily not the same about women, but the whole status quo of how women should act is such that they don't act on those they don't act out on those emotions or those needs. They just kind of, they keep it simple. Not to say that they don't feel that, they just keep it simple. So, but back to the inhibitions and the fear. I feel like, and this is some personal experiences, I feel that somewhere, sometimes women get lost and they get caught up. You can be in the same household. Say, for instance, my sister and I, we're in the same household, but she has a different perspective of how we grew up, and then afterwards about her interactions with people. We all have different things. I'm somewhat kind of, I'm sure of myself. I always have been sure, especially since after about 10 years old. I played basketball from little all the way up. I think that helped build my confidence or whatnot. But I've always been confident. I've always been sure of myself, and I always stood the ground on that because I didn't allow other people to kind of influence what I did and how I was going to do something. So I think that's important for people to have that confidence in themselves and not allow it to be altered by anyone or anything. I remember an episode on Good Times where Florida wanted to go to school with Walona, and Walona got her in school, and James was very upset that she was trying to go to school. And I always thought that was crazy. I always thought that was crazy that he was so upset that she was trying to better herself for the whole house. You know what I mean? I always thought that was crazy when I first seen it when I was younger. So yeah, I think that's where we should be as men. Like, instead of being afraid or scared and marginalize your wife or your girlfriend, you should encourage them to be all they can be. All they can be and then some. Because why not? Again, that's rolling back to fear. Men have a lot of fear. We have a lot of fear we're gonna put in too much, we're gonna get used, we're gonna get, you know what I mean? And I just look at life, if you had a good time sharing life with a certain person and they decide to leave or they decide to move on or do something different, then just remember those times and just move on, you know, and be cordial and enjoy life. I know that takes a lot, you know, of thought to go behind that, right? Because the first thing you want to do is hate the other person. So, yeah, I think you should definitely encourage people in your life, especially your woman or your girlfriend, or even a totally stranger. I think women deal with so much crap that they just get bogged down with all this pressure, you know, especially coming from men. I mean, we deal with a lot of things as well, but one thing we shouldn't do is bog down our women and put them in a stressful situation. We should never do that. But that goes to my situation or my thought process behind, you know, that goes to my thought process behind. Oh, I lost my train of thought. That's 52 creeping in. But yeah, we should never put our pressures. We should never dump our pressures on our women. And it was a video I watched with Nikki Giovanni and Mike and Baldwin, where she was telling him to come home and lie to her, because she was like, you had the job, you know, with the white man, and you smiling in his face, and you don't even like him, and then you come home and you treat us, you're supposed to love us, but you don't smile, you're not happy, you're angry, it's a unhappy home. So she was saying, lie to me. You go to work and lie to the white man, smile in his face and kiki and all of that, but when you come home, you're basically an ass. And the kids are scared of you, I'm scared of you, you're drinking, acting belligerent. Think about that, let that soak in. We all go to work and act like everything is okay and high and just, you don't even like being there. But then you come home and you act like an asshole. Man, that was powerful when I watched it. It was very, very, very deep. Because I was like, man, isn't that the truth? Why are you gonna act like an ass with me? And I'm feeding you and taking care of you and doing all the stuff that I'm doing, and you treating me like an ass. I was like, wow, that's crazy. Now this video happened in the 60s. I wasn't even born yet. I wasn't even born yet when they had this conversation. I think it was like 68, 65, 66, somewhere on one of those even numbers. You know, so that's pretty amazing to have that much thought. And the way she articulated it, it was like powerful. And he was like, I can't do that. She was like, why not? Why you can't do it? You go there and do it. Why come you can't come home and do it? you know. So I got some grits on the table coming up. You know, we started out trying to make these videos and we want to get so deep and involved and be so conscious, but sometimes, you know, we talk about a lot of stuff because that's who we are. We talk about a lot of stuff, and sometimes we were like, we need to record this because we do a lot of other stuff, you know, that is kind of more exposed, I would say. Not going into detail, but we need to talk about the stuff that we got going on in our lives. Our lives are pretty interesting. We have a total of 7 kids, right? That are alive. We would have 8. We had a situation where was it 1999, our firstborn that we were going to have together, the umbilical cord was twisted around his neck, and so he didn't make it. So we only had 7. We had a soon to be 37-year-old son. We have a 33, getting ready to be 34-year-old. We have a 21-year-old. Some twins that are autistic that are 18. They'll be turning 19 here soon in May. And then we have a 17-year-old that's going to be 18 in March. So we have a unique family. Autistic children kind of put us in a position where we pulled them out of the school system. And since she's a master's degree teacher, we were like, won't you go ahead and teach the kids? Stay home. You know, I'm not going to admit, I was first one against that. I was like, I don't trust corporate America to be, you know, to keep things engaged. So I was kind of like fearful, you know, of that being a problem as we, you know, ventured down this road. But fortunate enough, I was able to do what I needed to do to maintain the household. And here we are, you know, that was 2010, here we are, 2022. She's been staying home, the kids graduated, they're all good. Taught them a lot of, you know, life skills. They're smart because they are kids. But the autistic challenge was rough. It has been rough. We're going to talk about more things and get into that because people really don't know what we go through. Sometimes we awaken 2 or 3 times in the night. People don't know that. We haven't really been able to go anywhere, you know. Really don't have any support. So we stayed together like we should have. There's a lot of people though that they didn't sign up for that. So the autism broke up their marriage or the relationship. So yeah, it's that hard. Look, I was so-called trying to be bougie and measuring when I never measured in my life. And I used to cook. But anyway, yeah, the autism thing has been hard. We've had a hard time. It's rough. fortunately, we're in pretty good situation where our kids are pretty cool. They're pretty cool. We didn't have a lot of, busting windows and breaking sheetrocks and breaking doors off the hinges and all the crazy stuff that come with autism sometimes. We do have a child that's nonverbal, my daughter, so that's been an interesting thing because thinking back, it was like, how do we communicate with her? And we do, but I can't just tell you how that happened or how that shaped up. It's just being a parent and being around your child long enough to understand them. So that's basically all that happened. You can't really even talk about, but for the most part, we treated them like regular people. We treated them like regular people, and so we didn't go into that baby and overdoing the parenting like they're little babies and little kids as they grew up. We were age appropriate in that treatment. So, but my wife, bless her heart, she was able to, she's the one that basically keeps all this together. Because I'm almost as bad as some of the kids as far as my day-to-day. I'm random as hell. I never was diagnosed with anything, but I know I'm like ADD in some respects. I know a lot of things. I'm overstimulated sexually, so that's been an issue. Ain't no issue for me, but I'm just saying in a general sense of discussion. So, which has led us down some paths that are, been good, bad, and great as of late because of the communication, the open and honest communication. So that's kind of like where we're at and how we matured our relationship for 26 years. But definitely we want to talk about a lot of these things on a daily basis. I'm really not even trying to necessarily set up a formal process. We're just gonna hit the record button. Now my wife has some things going on, which is gonna be more slated to maybe the female conversation, not necessarily, but more so. It's gonna be called Conversation Spark. Her and my daughter started it, and they started it, and I think it's gonna be interesting. My daughter's became really busy participating in some independent films and doing some live hosting of red carpet events, things of that nature. So she's kind of falling back, but I'm sure she'll be guest starring on it. But that's going to be a part of the whole circle of our family of brands, so to speak. We got Conversation Spark, and we have the Virtuous Deviant, which is going to encompass a lot of things. And so, it's going to be a fun time. It's been a lot of years. We got a lot of experience between us, a lot of things that had happened before, even before we got together. We're going to discuss all of those. We're going to discuss as things move forward with our children, because our twins most likely never leave us, so we'll always have them. We'll always have them, and so that'll be a lifelong journey until we no longer exist on this planet. It is what it is. You gotta take the crooked with the straight. As he said Denzel said in the movie Good Fences. Oh dang. Or Fences rather. You gotta take the crooked with the straight. And that's the way you survive. That's the way you exist. Because nothing is ever gonna be right or perfect. As my good friend Bruce Lee said, be like water. Be like water, my friend. Be like water, because no matter what, water always finds a path. So if you can imitate water, you can forge a path ahead and be okay. Yep, so that's pretty much how I live my life. And encouraging my wife to live her life the same way. Because you can't be running around here worrying about people, what they say, what they think, how they feel. And you can't be afraid to tell your truth. And you can't be worried about how the others are going to react to your truth. You're not asking for permission. Because I'm sure it's a lot of things I do that she does that we do together, and people probably would think, wow. But it is what it is. I pay my own bills. I take care of my whole family. I've been taking care of a family situation from 27 years of age to where I'm at now. I married her in 9 months, so that should tell you something. We've been together 26 years, married 25, so you don't need to endure a 4 or 5 year relationship before you get married. You don't need to do that. I have a lot of friends, not a lot of friends, but I heard a lot of people say, like I gotta spend 2 or 3 years with a person before I get to know them. Well, by then you've built up enough stuff that maybe has gone wrong to not get into the relationship with that person. Which I feel is some bull anyway. I just think men run around lying, acting like they want to be in relationships because there's some politics going on. If they say no, I don't want to be in a relationship, or I don't want to get married, then the opportunity to get the booty has been removed, and that's what we focus on all the time. We don't focus on getting married and taking care of family and being responsible and all of that. That's not what we focus on. We initially focus on the booty. And then you mature enough to where you feel proudful of taking care and having somebody's back and supporting them. I wouldn't want to be in any other situation of having somebody, especially like my wife, so yeah, man, it's a wonderful thing. So that's the problem with that. the booty element. So, but yeah, 9 months. 9 months we did it, put it in. She was up front saying what she wanted. She said she wanted to be engaged at least in a year, you know, and I married her in less than a year. So engagement period was quick. Families met together. Yeah, you know, it was a lot of discouragement from several friends and whatnot about her having 2 kids, but she was married, had 2 kids, so it wasn't like she was all over the place. But even if she had been, the way I was feeling for her, I would have married her because she was a good woman. That's what I was saying, you know. And I grew up in a family and knowing how to make it happen, so I wasn't concerned about money and all of that. Plus, she didn't need me. She already had her own house. I had just gotten out of a marriage. I was trying to get out of a damn marriage. Trying to get out. And she kind of helped in that situation. So, that's how that happened. But yeah, it was a lot of worries from other folks. But like I said, I do what I want to do and how I want to do it. And look at me now. Look at us now. You know, life is good. But I'm gonna finish this little breakfast up. I'm trying to imitate what's now so popular at Waffle House, the grit bowl. But we've been eating grit bowls forever. We've been making grit bowls forever since Mississippi and being a little kid. So we were always doing that. Oh man. So with that, we're gonna get to making these grit bowls. I'm gonna get her up and we'll probably be back online later saying something. But I'll talk to you guys later. Virtuous Deviant. Don't forget to look for a new post, like, subscribe. Also, you know, Conversation Sparks and all the other ventures that we have out there. So look for us, like, share, comment, and we'll see you later.